Welcome to our channel.
We're about to jump into one of the most legendary stories ever told, Romeo and Juliet. And not just the play, but how its epic themes of love and hate have been brought to life on the big screen.
My Juliet, the stars pale next to
And
me.
thy love lights my world.
So, let's start with the line that basically sums up the entire tragedy. When Juliet says this, she hits on the central mind-bending paradox of the story. How can the greatest love you'll ever know come from the one thing you're supposed to despise? That single question is what drives everything.
To really get Romeo and Juliet, you have to understand the world they're stuck in. A place that is completely defined by one single, ancient, all-out war.
So picture this, the city of Verona. We've got two powerful families, the Montagues and the Capulets. They're on equal footing, but they're trapped in this ancient feud, this grudge that's so deep and violent, Shakespeare literally says, civil blood makes civil hands unclean. This isn't just a simple rivalry. It's like a sickness that has infected the whole city.
The entire story is really built on this idea of duality. It's this concept that everything seems to contain its opposite, that two things that seem totally at odds are in fact completely and totally connected. And what's so brilliant is how Shakespeare weaves this idea right into the words of the play. It's absolutely packed with these contradictions, oxymorons. You've got Romeo talking about his feelings as loving hate, heavy lightness, or cold fire. Now, this isn't just him being poetic. It's showing us that in their world, love and hate, life and death, they're pretty much two sides of the very same coin.
Okay, so now let's see how this whole theme of opposites feeds into the story of the lovers themselves, and into one of the play's biggest, most debated questions. Were they ever really in control?
Think about this. Before we even meet Romeo and Juliet, the very first lines of the play tell us they are star-crossed. Back in Shakespeare's day, that was a huge deal. It meant their tragic end was literally written in the stars. That destiny, not random chance, was pulling the strings.
And it's not just the narrator telling us this. The characters feel it themselves. Before Romeo even crashes the Capulet party, he gets this awful feeling, this sense of dread. He feels like the night is going to trigger some terrible consequence, yet hanging in the stars. He can feel it coming.
My mind misgives some consequence yet hanging in the stars.
And that feeling explodes after he kills Tybalt. In that split second of horror, Romeo doesn't blame his own choices, or his own rage. He screams out that he is fortune's fool, like he's just a pawn in some cruel cosmic game.
So here it is, the big tension. Are they just helpless victims of fate, or did their own impulsive choices, their free will, actually cause the tragedy? The play is brilliant because it never gives us an easy answer. It suggests that maybe fate and free will aren't really opposites. Maybe fate works through our choices.
A story this intense, this human, has obviously gripped people for centuries. But that brings up a really fascinating challenge, right? How on earth do you take Shakespeare's incredible poetry and translate it for the screen? How do you make people see it?
Well, there's actually a term for this process. It's called remediation, and it's not just about pointing a camera at actors on a stage. It's about totally reimagining the story for a new medium, using all the tricks of cinema to capture the soul of the original words. The whole goal is to find a visual language that makes the audience feel what Shakespeare's poetry describes. And I can't think of a better example of this than Baz Luhrmann's absolutely electrifying 1996 film, William Shakespeare's Romeo plus Juliet.
Luhrmann's approach is, well, it's not quiet. He uses this incredibly bold, kinetic, in-your-face, cinematic style to make you feel every single emotion, dialed up to 11. So, let's take one of the most famous moments ever written. Love at first sight. How do you actually show that on screen? That split-second connection that changes your entire universe. Luhrmann's solution is just genius. He has them see each other for the first time through a fish tank. The glass is the barrier between their families, but the shimmering blue water creates this magical, dreamlike space just for them. He uses these tight close-ups, these slow zooms right on their eyes, and you feel that jolt of connection right along with them.
But just as brilliantly as he shows us love, he also has to show us its opposite. Pure rage. After Mercutio dies, Romeo completely snaps. He throws away any thought of mercy and lets his fire-eyed fury take over. And Lurum's direction here is just incredible. As Romeo loses it, the editing becomes frantic, the camera shakes, it's chaotic, you feel his inner world completely falling apart. And then, the knockout punch. Just as he screams, "I am fortune's fool," a massive thunderstorm erupts. It's this perfect visual metaphor, linking his very personal rage to the giant, unstoppable force of fate.
So, after all these centuries, all these different versions, why are we still so obsessed with this story? Why does it still hit so hard?
I think it's because those core conflicts, love versus hate, fate versus choice, are just part of being human. Shakespeare used poetry to show it. Luhrmann uses the visual clash of a tender glance and a stylized gunfight. Shakespeare gave us the idea of star-crossed lovers. Luhrmann gives us a literal storm. Each version finds a new way to say the same timeless truths.
The story lasts, not because it's some dusty museum piece, but because it's alive. It's built to be transformed. Every new remediation, every new film or play or song lets a new generation see themselves in it, connecting the world of Verona to our own.
And that leaves us with one final thing to think about. If the way we retell this story is like holding up a mirror to our own time, what does our version, what do all these modern retellings really say about us?